G'day ladies and gents, Fiddle here and welcome back to the channel. Get ready to have your minds blown today, because today we're going to be talking about a crazy situation with a 38-year-old math and well-being teacher of all things at Alkira Secondary College in Cranbourne North, which is in Victoria, having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old girl at that school. Laura Ann Hill, who is married and has children, decided to have a secret sexual relationship with a teen girl at the school. This happened over a span of 2 months until her husband, the teacher's husband, encouraged her to go to police after he found out about the relationship, and he threatened that he would go to police instead if she did not report it. I just can't imagine the sort of crazy heartbreak, confusion, and trauma that husband must be going through, as well as the children. She has decided to destroy her entire family, basically for her own self-gain and for her own devilish acts. According to Miss Laura Ann Hill, she felt exhausted in her family household, and she started seeing the 15-year-old girl at school. In fact, on one occasion, the girl had Miss Laura Ann Hill over at her house, and the child's grandmother came home, and Miss Laura Ann Hill had to hide in the closet to escape the potential ramifications she might face. Now, apparently the two went on long drives together, had late night hookups in parks, and at her own house. Can you imagine that? At her own house, where she houses her children and her husband, she's committing these absolutely heinous acts, and she did so over the span of 2 whole months. Now, luckily, she went to the county court and admitted to these crimes, and she pleaded guilty to 1 count of sexual assault against a child and 5 counts of sexual penetration against a child. And as a result of these crimes, she now faces up to 10 years in prison. Yeah, I know 10 years isn't a whole lot for this type of thing, but that's for another video. Now, her lawyer tried to defend her in some of the most pathetic ways that I've ever seen, because apparently her lawyer claimed that she was feeling unseen, unloved, and exhausted, and had a very powerful need for intimacy, and also that she was a very fragile person when this sort of offending occurred. Just blatant victim card shit. If you're feeling unloved and unseen, maybe it's a good idea to discuss that with your partner and not engage in a sexual relationship with a minor. I don't know about you, but I don't think that that's most people's train of thought in this sort of situations. And also, her life is now in ruins because she lost her partner and their children aged 8 and 4. Now, this comes as a surprise to absolutely no one. Absolutely no one. Of course your husband left you. I don't think any sane human being is going to be able to forgive or overlook something like this. And not only did she cheat on him, but she cheated on him with a child of all things. Think of this, she has children of her own, 8 and 4. That is only 6 years younger than her oldest child. Miss Laura Ann Hill then went on to give the girl's mother a written apology, because that's the sort of thing that teachers look at and say, yeah, that's punishment, and that'll do enough to solve the situation. Now, if you think that she was remorseful and that she really regretted everything that she had done and her life was in shambles and she was very fragile, prepare for shock and awe, because apparently, even after being charged and bailed with her crimes, she went on to text and call the 15-year-old again, and then meet up and do some more absolutely heinous acts with this 15-year-old. So if you thought of feeling any sympathy for Miss Laura Ann Hill, I'm sorry to say, but it just doesn't seem like she cares. That written apology doesn't mean anything, because she reoffended and was actually rearrested on the same charges. Can you imagine that? Already being caught in the act, right? Being booked in for a court date and all of that kind of stuff, and you still go out of your way to harm and sexually gratify yourself in a terrible, immoral way with a minor. And after all the claims of her being in a fragile life and having her life ruined and needing intimacy, I just don't buy it after this sort of thing. To make this case even more disgusting than it already is, she allegedly met her victim in playgrounds. In playgrounds where children play. This woman is a menace to society. She is a danger to children. She is a danger to herself. And honestly, I hope that she gets the highest consequence possible, because she showed no remorse. Initially she did, because, she said so. But the fact that she reoffended and kept going even after getting caught, that goes to show that she doesn't feel any remorse whatsoever, and that her own gratification is more important than the livelihood of a minor. At the time of writing, she will be facing court in August 15th, and I can't wait to hear more details, because that is quite soon. That's in about 3 days as of writing this video, and I hope she gets full ramifications for these actions. I think this serves as a bit of a wake-up call to schools to actually dive in and do a bit more security on these teachers and check in with students. I know this sort of thing is sometimes unavoidable, especially in this case, because it did seem like they were trying very hard to not let anyone know that this sort of behavior was occurring. But I think it's a bit of a wake-up call to schools and teachers and parents alike that we do need to be careful, and that there are monsters among us. And yeah, it's terrible, but it's reality, and they can come in all shapes and sizes. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. That is a crazy case that I actually learnt about not too long ago, and it hits close to home because these crimes were committed around my neighborhood, which is pretty crazy. But anyways, I'm going to leave things there. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.